So today we're painting on unprimed canvas, as we most of the time will be, and I'm going to show you some ways to work with this. One of the reasons why you want to work with unprimed canvas is an unprimed canvas is canvas that has no primer, no gesso, which is very elegant Italian primer, no white stuff. So it's just raw canvas, and it needs to be 100% cotton to work, for the absorbency to take in the paint, to take in the water in a good way. So to begin with, we're simply going to get it wet, and that's done by taking anything you want, but I like to use these little foam brushes that are actually painter's tools, as in house painter's tools. And this is half of one. This is what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just getting it wet. I'm making sure that it's really wet. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to show you what happens to acrylic paint on our wet surfaces as well as on a dry surface. So we'll also put out a piece of paper, of canvas that has no water on it, and we'll show you how that works too. Okay, so I work always on trays that are repurposed from something else, because I don't like to waste materials as much as possible. And I'm going to start out this really beautiful manganese blue. Okay. So using any brush you like, I'm going to use this brush. Get it in your paint. Now watch what happens when I'm working on wet. Now watch the same strokes on dry. So this is a way you can have a lot of control over your work when you want it, but you can also let it paint itself, let it play. You can do beautiful backgrounds and let this dry, and then come back and do solid stuff on top of that. Okay, and a good example of that, and you can use different kinds of equipment and ways to apply the paint that will give it some great texture. So again, lines. Now watch on here. Totally different. Now, why are we working on unprimed canvas? Let me show you what happens on canvas that has primer on it. Okay, we're going to take this one away for a moment. This is a piece of canvas that I have used primer to write words on. Okay, just so you can see it. And now I'm going to put paint right over that, and we'll see what happens. Same amount of paint right there. All right? Same amount of paint. On the background, same amount of paint. So when you're painting on canvas that has been prepared with primer, it actually dulls the paint. It doesn't allow the depth of the color to go into the surface of the canvas itself, and then it has white under it, which is also not something you necessarily want with everything that you're going to paint. So it's pretty impressive, the difference. Let's put this over here for now and come back with this guy. Got a little bit of water under there. That is the simplest how-to, but we're going to go and do a couple of other quick things. We're going to use a few other colors so you can see some differences. I'm going to draw with a needle nose paint applicator. Right, you see what happens there, which can be very wonderful. Now, same here. Watch what happens. It's going in. This will dry. It'll flatten when it dries, but it will dry with a ridge. Okay. You can also, of course, affect that with other tools. You can do something like that and then brush it and create something entirely different. Here, let's play with this a little bit more. Let's use a little bit of white. And you don't need very much paint. You don't need very much paint at all. You always think you're going to need more paint, but acrylic paint stains, so it covers a lot of territory, and one little blip of paint may be all that you'll need for the whole session of that color. You can always get more, but your paint will go a long ways. So let's I'm going to take white and buff and mix them together so the white isn't quite so white. And okay, we're going to leave that like that for the moment and do a little bit of scratching in here too, just to see what happens. It won't do much over here because the paint's too thick and it's not really going to move. But if I put on the paint fairly thick here, let's just try. So you're going to get some things happening, and it'll look quite a bit different once it dries as well. Now let's look at painting on top of things that have already dried. So let's say you did a basic base, and now you want to do a little bit more work on that. So this is a piece of canvas that was painted in the same ways that I showed you previously. And now we want to come in and add some more layers on it where we're in total control. So this was all wet. It was flowing all over any way it wanted. Now we're going to come in. These are stencils that I cut out of just, kind of simple, clean white paper. In fact, I'm going to use this side. And this is dry. This is totally dry. Try not to go under the edges. Now when I pick that up, I'm going to blot it. So it went under the edges a little bit there. Let's try it again. Let's try another one. See if we can get it a little bit cleaner this time. And that would be making sure I don't get under the edge. So I'm going to come in from the corners. See how that goes. Yep, quite a bit better. And how did those happen? There? Those were already there. They were there before I started painting. So I'll show you how to do stencils another time, but just to give you some ideas, just to give you some things to think about when you're working with unprimed canvas. Let's do one more item. Let's play on something else that already has some stuff on it, and I want to show you one more thing. So this again is primer. It's been painted on ahead of time, and I did that with a stick like this. Okay, this is totally dry now, though this stuff was painted on quite wet. The reason this matters to you is that yellow, for example, in many colors are clear, okay? So you can see through them, and your good quality paint labels will always show you how transparent any of your color is, and they'll have a name on it. They'll have a name that shows you the transparency level as well. So yellows by definition are clear. If you try and paint yellow on top of blue, you're essentially going to get green, all right? Because yellow and blue make green. So if you want a ray of golden light over blue, for example, a sea, you're going to need to underpaint it with white. Now notice that same brush, same amount of paint, same place, okay? And there's a difference. So this is in fact a really important trick. I call it painting the bones.